You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift, where anything can happen and will happen and is happening as we speak. Happy to have you on this morning. Happy to be here with you, and it's going to be a great show, so make sure to stay tuned. And if you're listening on CKLU 96.7, you're listening on the radio. If you're listening on your computer, you're listening at cklu.ca. You just clicked on the Radio Player Canada app. And some of you actually downloaded the Radio Player Canada app, and you're taking us with you and listening to us on your favorite device. And some of us are watching on YouTube Live or Facebook Live at youtube.com/Sudbury News or facebook.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. We're pretty much 7,000 followers at the moment, even though there's all kinds of things indicating that the platform's not working as you would think it would work, where just someone follows it and it follows. There's all kinds of little glitches there that are people aren't following when they follow the page. Like, for instance, my wife has followed the page I don't know how many times, but it doesn't show up that she follows the page. So I know that firsthand that there's if it happens with someone that close to me, and I've shown it on the show before, where all of our other than one, there was 14 people that had liked the show at that point, and I showed that they're just invited. They're not showing as following. So 7,000, it's probably 20,000 in reality, but we're grateful for the platforms nonetheless, even if they're not functioning correctly on purpose or not. And we're grateful that they do send out the show, and we're able to watch it live and on demand after the show. So make sure if you missed anything, you can check it out afterwards on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News, Twitter formerly Twitter, now X, or Sudbury News on our website, and you just go to the Sudbury News Talk link and you can find us that way as well. So we're grateful to be here. It's make sure to comment though on those platforms, because we'll do our best to read them for those listening and to get them up on the screen for those watching. We already have quite a few people on, if that's indeed today's show, which I'm not sure if it is or not. Looks like it might be. Okay, we got quite a few people on, more than usual, right off the hop. So let's dive right in. We'll begin with a little bit of weather, sports, news headlines. Talk about the thanks to Vin for sharing a video with me. Again, it's from this Moose on the Loose guy, which I've only seen very rarely, and then all of a sudden he's been popping up quite a bit. He's talking about a tax on a tax. Did you know that? The carbon tax is on top of tax already. So they're talking about it's going to be over $1 billion going to be collected just from the tax on the tax, not just the tax itself. But you know how, HST is already a certain amount. The GST is a certain amount. The PST is a certain amount, but they put it together in HST just because we love to change what the names of taxes are over the years. So, you know what I mean? It doesn't get old. And so just the tax on the tax alone, we're going to be paying over $1 billion. One of the senators asked, a conservative senator asked a liberal senator, so what's going to be happening with that tax? You're going to want to hear that response, just because it's so telling of the government that's ruling over us at this moment. And it should make you very, very, at least frustrated, if not very upset, where your tax dollars are going to. But anyways, let's start off with a little bit of weather, sports, local news headlines. Then we'll get into taxes, everybody's favorite, taxes. All right, we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. And Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently is 4 degrees, light rain out there. There's periods of rain ending this morning, then cloudy with a 40% chance of more showers. There you go. And wind will be moderate. High of 12 today, 12 degrees. Tonight, overcast and a low of +4. Friday, cloudy with a 60% chance of showers in the morning and early in the afternoon, then clearing in the late afternoon and a high of 10. So there's a look at your long range. So again, 10 degrees, 60% chance of showers tomorrow. Then 30% chance of showers or flurries on Saturday. High of 8. Then Sunday, supposed to be sunny and a high of 10. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, mix of sun and cloud, 14 degrees, 10 degrees, 11 degrees respectively. And here's a look at your satellite as it looked at 2:30 a.m. this morning. So a lot of activity, a lot of clouds everywhere. So that's your Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little bit of sports and then your comments with news headlines and then our deep dive into taxes right after this. Stay tuned. Your Sudbury Wolves will be in action tonight, 7 o'clock at the Sudbury Arena, facing the North Bay Battalion, down 3-0 now in the series. They haven't won a round 2 game since Adam and Eve had a hockey league back in the day. So they need to win at least one game in the second round just to know that we can do that. We had it in the palm of our hands last game. We were up 5-2 after the second period, where in the second period, we held North Bay to no shots. They didn't even have a single shot on the game. At the end of the second period, 27 shots to 7, because they got those 7 shots in the first period. And then what happened in the third? I don't know. They scored 4 unanswered goals, ended up winning the game. Well, they weren't 4 unanswered goals, but anyways, they ended up winning the game 6-5 in overtime. So that was Battalion, not Sudbury Wolves. So Sudbury went down 3-0 in that series. They have to win. They had to win the last game in order to really have a chance at the series, but now they have to win tonight in order not to be eliminated. So that's get out and support them, cheer them on, because they'll need all the help they can get to win 4 games in a row against a very tough North Bay Battalion. They can do it. Just depends which Sudbury Wolves team is going to come out to play. That's your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.ca. We'll be back. News headlines and more right after this. Okay, and we have, like I said, quite a few people on, so we're grateful for you being here. Thankful to be a lot of newer viewers. We were up to about 45, like I said, people per day, and then somehow Facebook went down for one day, and then after that, it just seemed they must have changed the algorithm somehow, and then it really cut into those that were on the show for some strange reason. It is what it is, and so let's see here. Okay, so we got Marianne joining us from Barrie. And much appreciated, Marianne. Liked and shared, as usual. Thank you so much. And Monique, good morning, Sudbury. Smiley emoji. Judy, good morning. Thankful that you're with us. Denise as well. Good morning, everyone. And stay safe and healthy. And then another Denise, good morning from Espanola. Blessings for the day. David, stay safe. Take care. I said that backwards, but good morning to you, David. Hope the same for you. Good morning from Liette in Collingwood. And Belinda, good morning. A positive statement to start our day. You don't drown by falling in the water. You drown by staying there. Understand your worth. You alone are enough. Thank you very much. And again, you have a different, brand new positive statement each and every day. I think you've been doing it for over a year now, at least. And that's a lot of positive statements to come up with each and every day. So thank you for that. Look, you're having a bad day. It's okay. We all have that. If you feel like you're drowning, just know you don't have to be there. You don't have to be there for very long. Sure, we all need to experience, some sadness to no gladness, but at the same time, you don't need to live there. If you are experiencing that, know that the opposite can be experienced as well, because that's just the way life works. So thanks, Belinda. We really appreciate that. Miles, good morning to you. And Nick, thanks for being on. Good morning, exclamation point, exclamation point. Tax on tax should be illegal. Same as mortgages, Justin Trudeau just came out with a special halal mortgage for our Muslim friends, where they don't believe in interest, right? Or at least the interest the way that mortgages are. And that's because it is illegal. And you shouldn't, by the time you're done paying for your house, you paid for it 3 times, really, is what it ends up being. So if it's $400,000, you end up paying $400,000, you end up paying $1.2 million, because it's 3 times the house cost at the end of the day. Do the math. Just times your mortgage payments by the amount of times you're going to pay it, and then look at the total. You pay 3 times what your house value is of what you thought you paid for it, right? With the interest. That is illegal. It should be legal. Interest, compound interest, that just, the way mortgage interest works, it should be legal. And so Justin Trudeau, to satisfy a segment of the population, has a special halal mortgage. You can look that up online. Google has a interesting, just look it up. What is halal mortgage? And it'll explain it to you. Claire, good morning all. Thanks for being with us. Smiley emoji. Maurice, good morning. Jerome, good morning. Overtaxed Sudbury news hounds. Yes, we're definitely overtaxed. There's no doubt about it. Miles, local CBC radio had an expert on local arena stadiums and how economic impact of building a new one doesn't do much more for the local economy. He said that he's been doing studies on the subject since 1990. And I kind of, if you heard me reading the story yesterday when Paul Lefebvre said a statement that it's going to create jobs, I kind of I couldn't help but laugh out loud for that statement, because how many jobs is a new arena going to create, really? No more jobs than it already has in the first place as an old arena, right? Like what? It's the same kind of staffing you're going to have. Maybe a couple more jobs. I don't know. Does that substantiate the cost? I don't know. To me, it's a practical thing. I'm not here to sell the idea, but I know certain artists won't visit Sudbury because the old arena isn't up to specs for the even unions. For safety reasons, the size of our doors, all kinds of things. He said one of the walls are compromised even on the existing Sudbury Arena building. And so, it's just not up to standards, the modern standards for things. So a lot of artists won't even come and play here. And so we're losing out on all kinds of things like that, which does then generate some for the economy. Not much, however. But at the same time, it's more for the morale of the city. It's the heart of the city. It's to do with community. So there's a lot of that going on. And but I'm not here to sell it, although it will be let's say it didn't cost anything to anybody. And you're like, should we have a new arena event center downtown? Everyone will go, yeah, exactly. We all want it. Right? It's a matter of how we're getting it there and how it's going to impact us is what it really comes down to. Marianne says, if people really paid attention with all the taxes we pay, if we're lucky, we'll bring home at least half our income. I don't bring home half my income at the end of the day. So I only bring home 66% of my income to begin with once all the deductions are taken off. Now, mind you, they're saying that a lot of the deductions are going to come back to myself anyways in terms of my pension and blah, 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 which I don't believe is going to be there by the time I retire. Sorry, I just don't. And if anyone wants that conversation, I'm happy to have it with them. But anyways, I only have 66% of my paycheck. Then I go out and I pay for things with my 66% of money left over. And after rent takes, half of that pay, then I have half of that pay left to then go out and pay things that are taxes on taxes. So if you really look at the end of the day, how much dollar value you have that's yours that you're just paying for goods. You're not paying for things that don't exist, like taxes. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy. I know all my American friends come here and they look at the prices in the grocery store or wherever and they go, wow, that's expensive. And then they get their bill and it's even more than what the prices on the menu are, because there's 13% tax on top of what they're paying. And it's just like mind blowing. Gas here is 2.5 times what it is in the States. You know that, right? So speaking to people who just came back from there, our gas is 2.5 times. And they're complaining about their gas prices now. And they're complaining about it, saying, holy crap, what's going on down here? And our gas is 2.5 times more than theirs. You can go out 2 people to an all-you-can-eat buffet down there, $15 taxes in. 2 people, all-you-can-eat buffet, great food. Like, and they're saying it's getting too hard for them. The economy. Ours is just laughable, and we'll talk about that. Vin shared a very good video with us this morning with a interaction in the Senate, and we'll talk about that, and it'll shed some light on that. Marianne says, I think it is taxes. I think it really is. Taxes were brought into fund. Taxes were brought into fund was only the rest is theft. Okay, so sometimes the texting on comments doesn't come through 100%, but yeah, I guess a little bit of taxes wouldn't hurt because we need money in order to help for infrastructure and stuff. But I think if we look today with all of our money going overseas and all this misspending going on, do you know with vaccines, you know how we went out and I think we bought enough for 8 doses for everybody or 4 doses for everybody of vaccines. And they ended up destroying over $1 billion worth of vaccines that they went and purchased ahead of time. Like, really think of that. Like, that's just one. They actually gave over $1 billion to a manufacturer to manufacture vaccines that never even happened either. So there's $2 billion in misspending. I could go on and on and on. And we're talking billions of dollars here, which is $1,000 million that just misspent, no accountability whatsoever. And that's your tax dollars. Your money that you're giving to them to just waste. It's terrible, man. Okay, so new Liberal NDP diet sweeps nation. Pay the same amount of money, but eat 50% less food. Yes, as we heard from Jagmeet Singh, that's Galen Weston's fault. Because of greedy CEOs, that's why you pay more. It's not because of inflation and because of high taxation and because of terrible policies made from our federal government. No, it's from Galen Weston. Greetings to all. That's Monique. Thanks for joining us. Danica, good morning. Smiley emoji. And Jerome says, Mark Sette has sold his community down the river. How much is he paid to do this? Well, quite a bit, actually. And you just have to Google it, and you can see how much an MP is paid. They just got a 10% raise, by the way, on April the 1st, while we got the carbon tax increase. Marianne says, not just him, every politician has. Yeah. Okay, so Brian, good morning, Sudbury campers. Thanks for joining us. Marianne, we should all identify as Muslim. Well, there you go. You can get that halal mortgage with way less interest. They include a lot of fees in there, so it's not like they're not paying anything. It's just the way that it's worded and stuff without interest, because it is really bad. You know, every 7 years, it used to be the tradition for Jewish people that your all your debts were forgiven every 7 years. You know, so you accumulate that, whatever, you try and pay it off, and so it would prevent people from lending a lot of money with interest, because they know at the end of the 7 years, if you're not paid up, you ain't getting that money back. So I really like that system myself, because it gives everyone a break every 7 years, for one, and it's a renewal. It's, how many people, I've been in debt most of my life. Growing up, I remember my parents, there was a lot of the discussion around the table. They're in debt, and what are they going to do with their dollar to make it stretch? Then I said, that's something I'm never going to have in my life ever again. I headed out. I started my own businesses. I did whatever I could so that I'd never be in debt. and it just, no matter what you do. So I at least can relate to most Canadians who have to live most of their lives in debt with that chain around their neck kind of thing, and how that feels. It would be great every 7 years to have that relieved. Belinda says, rulers do not reduce taxes to be kind. Greed creates high taxation. And normally it takes an impending catastrophe to bring it down. We are not far off. Canada is broke. And I agree with that. I've heard a lot of people going to get cash at their banks. They're being refused. No cash. Or being asked what they're going to do with it. What are you doing with that cash that you're getting? I was asked one time because of the amount I took out at the time. They said, so what are you doing? We have to ask. I'm like, you have to ask what I'm doing with my own money? Yeah, we have to ask. We have to report it. Sheila, morning. Good morning to you. When opinions are shared and spoken, censorship is alive and well on the World Wide Web. And that is so true. We wonder why. We don't know. It just is. Right? Who's censoring it? Why are they censoring it? What's their game plan? What's the end game? All these questions we have. Miles, we could be in line for more curling events too with the new arena. Well, for sure. The list goes on and on and on. So if you have an event center attached with it, all the different, even the Junos, if we had enough seats in the arena, which we probably won't. That's what I was talking with Dario Zulich when they were originally going to build it on the Kingsway. And I said, the amount of seats, you gotta think a little bit more, put a little bit more seats in so you can at least think bigger as the city grows, the Ring of Fire comes in, the population grows. You got to think to the future. We need more seats if we are building a new arena, because we don't want to be stuck in the same position as we were with the old arena where we're not ready for the future. Like this is real leadership, real looking forward to the future. So you need so many seats to be a Juno or to be a Memorial Cup host. Anyways, so here you go. Marianne, people need to really research why Quebec gets all the breaks. They will be surprised to learn that they never signed into the Charter of Rights. Yeah, for sure. Well, they're not part of Canada in terms of, what was the Meech Lake Accord and the Charlottetown? They tried to get Quebec to sign on, right? So they can have their cake and eat it too, because they don't really belong. You really want us here, you're going to have to give us what we want. They got a really good gig going on. There's no doubt about it. 100%. If you look into it, you might get mad though. Alberta is starting to get very mad at Quebec, at the rest of Canada, first of all, but Quebec even more, because as far as Alberta's getting pillaged and, just raked over the coals, they've always been a giving province to the rest of Canada, and they don't get much at all. But Quebec gets a lot. Brian, grand rising blessings to everyone. Good morning to you. And Shirley as well. Good morning. Happy day, everyone. All these emojis that I've not even seen before, some of them. No, I'm just kidding. Marianne, 10 doses for every Canadian was a waste of money. For sure. We talked about how that waste of money, they had to destroy all of those doses because they couldn't just sit around, right? Waste of money. Louise, good morning to you. Denise says 1 billion of you handed out $1 a day and night nonstop for 3 years. You still wouldn't have done handing out $1 billion. Yeah. So if you handed out $1 a day and night nonstop for 3 years, you still wouldn't have $1 billion. Yeah, there's a lot of math we can do with what $1 billion means. It's a lot of money to just spend and waste. I put the two words together. There you go. Marianne says, Galen Weston, corporate enough said, for sure. But yeah, it's a corporation. I mean, if you go out and work really hard and make a business, so communism or socialism really frowns upon that. Because you can't have all that money. You worked really hard and you were really smart, and life just kind of, the sun shone on you for whatever reasons. You can't have all that money and me not have it or part of it, or everyone else. It's like, no, that person worked hard. They had They had it good. They have a corporation. They're running it. Now, when crony capitalism comes in, though, where governments and corporations get together and they make it impossible for competition and things like that, now that is wrong. I'm not saying there's something wrong with capitalism. I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with capitalism. There is. Crony capitalism sucks. It's terrible. It's wrong. It's evil. It shouldn't happen either. But it takes governments to allow for crony capitalism because governments and corporations work together to make that happen. So Sheila says, I don't care who signed and who didn't. They're all Canadians, human beings, and deserve to be treated well. Stop dividing. There's enough of that coming out of Ottawa. Well, okay, so that's one thing. It's one thing to just know the facts, and Quebec does get more than the rest of Canada. It just does. Just do the research. Like, yeah, they get all kinds of money, more than other provinces. They just do. So it's not a dividing thing. It's just a factual thing, and facts should be okay to share. I'm just putting that out there. Liette says, follow the money and you will find the science. Denise, when you passed away, your debts went with you, but not in Canada. When you pass away, your debts go to your family and must be paid by them. Imagine that. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And I got all kinds of comments coming in here, so we really appreciate you. Keep the comments coming. Time is rolling on. We want to get on. What's happening with this new event center? What are the steps it's going to take in order to have a new arena and a new events center here in Sudbury? Well, the Sudbury Star basically spelled it out for us the other day, and the amounts of money that went into getting it done, like getting it prepared, like all the demolition that had to happen downtown and the businesses that have to be expropriated and all that stuff. So Lefebvre announced last October the city spent about $12 million to acquire the Lido Hotel. Do you remember that? And a small cluster of apartments on Shaughnessy and Elgin Streets. Golden Grain Bakery on Brady Street, rooming house on the corner of Shaughnessy and Van Horn Streets, Andrea's Restaurant, an auto detailing shop, Old Rock Coffee House, and the Dog House, or Old Rock Coffee Cafe, and the Dog House. Demolition, which is underway, will cost taxpayers another $8 million approximately. So that's up to $20 million right there. The last price of land acquisition puzzle is Wacky Wings. They're the only holdout of businesses downtown, a popular restaurant on Shaughnessy Street. The municipality said earlier this month that it has begun expropriation proceedings and expects to take possession of the property at some point during the fall. So the lands purchased and cleared by the city will be available for redevelopment, and which increases the capacity to respond to new opportunities and stimulate the economic hub. As the city embarks on the updated downtown master plan, choices about specific future land uses in the South District is what the area of where the arena is. They've divided the downtown into like 7 different districts, and it's the South District. That's where the arena is. So the master plan, choices about the specific future land uses in the South District will be subject to further consideration. Staff will now take the next steps as follows. So first of all, they're going to prepare, issue, and evaluate and award the necessary request for proposal to procure a land architect and engineering team for the project. So they got to get someone to come out and do the work, recruit a project director, begin the process to identify a site for the new event center in the South District, and then prepare a request for expressions of interest to begin the engagement process with the private sector to realize development in the South District. Begin the process to secure additional debt financing following a timeline that reflects market conditions and cash flow requirements. Council also directed staff to adjust the financing plan as needed so it does not introduce a new special capital levy or new increase in the tax levy instead. So it directs the use of funds identified as savings from the service reviews that are currently underway. It also assigns non-tax revenue sources such as municipal accommodation tax and, if required, allocates funds raised by the special capital levy to support the city's asset renewal needs. Staff will report to council on a regular basis with updates on the progress of the event center and the status of redevelopment of the South District. And you can catch that at greatersudbury.ca/events center. So you want to put that in your favorites. greatersudbury.ca/events center if you want to keep up on how that is progressing, all the good, bad, and the ugly with the new arena. So speaking of taxes, it's what it's taking to eventually, even if the money's coming from other sources, it all comes from you. Like, even if the city's saying they're going to borrow it from here or they get it from the provincial government, well, holy crowley, where do you think the provincial government gets the money from? They get it from you. Or they say, oh no, we have federal funds that are going to come and help support this. Where do you think the feds get the money to give to the city to build this arena? It comes from you. It all comes from you. Whether it comes from the feds or it comes from the province or it comes from the municipality, it comes from you. It comes from your taxes, right? So no matter what, it's coming from you. But is anyone accountable to you? You know what I mean? So John Stossel does a really great job explaining in the United States, which isn't much different from Canada in terms of taxes. Taxes are taxes. They follow the same principles no matter what, but he always has a little bit of a entertaining way of looking at it. So John Stossel on taxes. We'll be back with some of our own conversations from our own Senate on tax on tax. So this is bad enough here, talking about just taxes alone, but tax on tax. We'll be back right after this.
Tuesday, April 17th is tax day this year. There'll be publicity about Income Tax Day, but it's misleading because income taxes are just a fraction of what we pay.
And income taxes are arguably way too high, but they actually make up less than half of our personal tax burden.
Kristen Tate just wrote what she calls a field guide to the American tax ripoff. How Do I Tax Thee explores the many other taxes we pay.
It's crazy. California has a tax on fresh fruit that comes from vending machines.
Car registration, entertainment tax, admissions tax for movies, property taxes, garbage taxes.
This isn't an exaggeration. Every time you do anything, you're really paying taxes.
Rifle tax, plane ticket tax. But these are tiny taxes.
Well, some of them actually aren't tiny taxes. The reason I wrote this book is because I was getting charged about $200 a month by Comcast for my cable bill.
$36 of it was tax.
These kinds of fees are inflating every bill we pay.
Why should we believe you? You're 12 years old.
Well, I did the research. All of this information is available online. The results were shocking. What do you think you pay in taxes?
Most people don't know what they pay.
I think it's 22%.
I'm probably paying closer to 20%.
Did you take a plane here?
I did.
Did you know you paid 20% in taxes on your ticket?
I did not realize it was that much, no.
How much are you paying for your hotel?
It's about $100 a night.
So about $20 of that is going right to taxes.
Wow. They get us everywhere.
I think I need to get a side job that pays cash.
We need taxes to pay for government.
Of course we need taxes. The problem is that we're often being taxed without even knowing it. From going to a restaurant with our friends, to buying a movie ticket, to riding the subway, we're getting taxed on those expenses. In Colorado, they tax non-essential food items like napkins, bibs, and straws. In New York, they have a bagel cutting tax, which you get charged for whenever you buy a pre-sliced bagel ready for consumption.
The whole bagel, you don't pay the tax.
Yeah, you don't pay the tax if you buy the whole bagel. So I always get my bagels non-sliced to avoid this tax.
This is a left-wing town. They love high taxes. It's part of the deal.
If New Yorkers want to pay high taxes, they can vote for high taxes. My problem is the way that these taxes are implemented. Politicians are cowards. Instead of creating a tax, they magically create these little fees, and they don't have to tell their voters they raised taxes.
So people don't know.
I have a list here of 100 different taxes that you pay.
Even they tax me on the beer that I drink. Uncle Sam just kills me, you know.
Can you think of anything you do in life that is not taxed?
No, I can't.
When I sleep, am I being taxed?
Everything's taxed, even when I breathe.
A $1.10 increase in the 911 phone tax.
911 fees pay for important emergency services.
Actually, no. In most states and cities, the 911 fees are just going to general funds. Chicago, for instance, they hiked their 911 fee in 2008. There was no Olympics in Chicago, but they kept that fee in place. And then in 2014, they raised it again.
Once they put them there, they almost never go away.
Absolutely not. Government only grows. Can I go for a walk?
Finally, there's the pet licensing tax. This is one tax that Tate and her dog refuse to pay.
In most cities, it doesn't go to dogs. It just goes to the general fund like all of these other fees.
By saying, I'm not paying this, you're taking a risk. Some vindictive bureaucrat.
I am taking a risk. We pay so much of our money to
The dogs put you over the top?
It's the little things, John.
The little things add up. What you pay in income tax is probably less than half your total tax burden.
So yeah, John Stossel, love him, and just can't get enough. He's just one of the best out there for journalism. He used to be on 60 Minutes and things like that. Has his own thing going on right now. So she said an interesting thing about the dog licensing tax or whatever, and says it doesn't go to dogs. So this is just something that is just very clear, very simple. Taxes should go to what they go for. So a dog licensing tax should go to benefit who's paying it. So that's dog owners. Somehow maybe it goes to making dog walks or dog parks or paying for bags at the dog parks to pick up the whatever dogs leave behind when you bring them to the dog parks. And it's like a toll road. So you get on a toll road. We don't have any of them here other than in Toronto, the 407, which is owned by foreign interests anyways, and it's a real conundrum if we get into that. But the money you pay, like let's say you're in the United States and in order to get on the toll road, there's someone in a booth, and it's like when you go to Wonderland, you have to go through the whatever. There's someone there, you pay them $2, $3, whatever it costs to get on the toll road, and then you get on the road. Well, that money is collected alone for the repairs, the maintenance, the upkeep of that particular road you're on. It's very simple. Taxes should be the same. Taxes you pay for whatever you're paying for it. So if you pay on your home heating, somehow taxes should go towards things that will help innovation with heating and make furnaces more efficient or whatever. So the taxes that are collected in the various industries, there should be very little that are just going into a pool, a big giant pool of money that no one knows what's going to happen with it. And that's the problem with socialism, communism. When taxes are taken, they're just put into this big vat of money, and then there's no accountability to where it's going to. If there was full transparency, which there needs to be, which there should be, especially with taxes, you should be able to log in on a website and see how much taxes were taken from a particular thing. So dog owner tax or whatever it is, dog licensing tax. You'd be able to go on there and say, oh, how much do we collect in dog licensing taxes? Oh, and where's that money going? Like, what are they using that money for? That's as simple as it should be. That has nothing to do with, should be confidential information because our enemies will see that and they'll know how to infiltrate our country. No, they've already infiltrated our country. That has nothing to do with it. It should be transparent where our money, how much money comes in and how much money goes out and where it goes. And it shouldn't just rely on reporters who are paid off to not really report the findings. It should just be any individual themselves can just get on a website. With the technology we have these days, it's that simple. Taxes that are collected from one particular thing. So if you have, taxes that are collected from car sales should go towards roads because you drive your car on the roads. They should go towards things that cars utilize, parking lots, snow removal, things like that. So again, right, if you rejigged and re-looked at everything, taxes that were collected from a certain thing go towards the thing that affects, right? I hope I was clear enough. It's a really simple concept. It's not hard. Here you go. So this is the reason why it should be. So now you see where it's gotten to. Here's Moose on the Loose talking about an exchange given in Ottawa. Now think about that idea of taxes collected for a certain thing and then knowing that they go towards that certain thing. They don't just go into a big pile of taxes and you can just give all that. So let's say we collect $1 billion on carbon tax, let's say, which is $1 billion just on the tax on the tax. So let's say instead of answering that question and saying it's going towards climate change and this is what it's going towards, more efficient furnaces, fuel pumps, whatever they think, or electric cars, whatever they're thinking is going to save the planet, even though Canada's net zero already with the amount of trees we have. I don't know what they're thinking, but it's definitely a mind virus of some kind. But let's say they didn't have a mind virus and it was real and we had to do something to really change the way we do things to affect the planet. We would put the money we got from the carbon tax into initiatives that actually help, right? But here they don't. They just collect it. They could give that money to Ukraine to buy missiles. But you're paying a tax on a tax to help the environment. That's what they say, but it's only words. It's just words. That's it. They're telling you that, but you don't know where that money's going. Like, how do you know? The money's put into a big pile and they just spend it wherever they want. They tell you it's for this. We're collecting the tax for this reason, but then they don't follow up and say, well, this is where the money's now going for that reason. You can, okay, well, I can kind of agree with that. So they just don't. And watch this next. You got to watch this video to the end because the last answer is telling of the way that our government rolls. This is in the Senate, by the way.
Don Plett, who keeps just pushing back hard on these corrupt liberal criminals. And today he is pointing out $595 million of GST that is being collected by the government, which will raise to $1 billion that is collected directly off of the carbon tax. This is the tax on the tax. This is when you have, say, home heating. Okay, I can't find my bill, but they charge carbon tax on home heating, and then they charge GST on the carbon tax. And that's how much extra they're collecting this year. It's absolutely criminal.
Senator Plett.
My next question concerns a report from the Parliamentary Budget Officer about the Prime Minister's useless and hurtful carbon tax. This fiscal year, the Trudeau government will collect $595 million just in GST on this carbon tax. Wow. By 2030 and 2031 fiscal year, this amount will rise to over $1 billion. Just the tax on the tax. Again, these are not my figures. These are from the non-partisan Parliamentary Budget Officer who works for all parliamentarians. Leader, why does the Trudeau government believe Canadians can afford this tax on a tax?
It's criminal, man.
Senator Gold.
Thank you for citing the Parliamentary Budget Officer and independent analysts. The federal government believes.
So just pay attention to the way he answers now, and think if this was your husband or spouse or friend, and you really just wanted a clear answer from this person in that way, like how you would feel after you get answers like this.
That having a credible plan to combat climate change, which includes putting a price on pollution in whatever form that price takes place, whether it is the carbon tax, which applies to those provinces that have chosen not to put into place a program, or cap and trade, such as my province or BC, who led the way, that all of these measures are necessary to for the well-being of this country, its citizens, and this planet. But equally importantly, not more importantly, it has been well established by third-party, neutral, experts that the impact of the price on pollution, given the rebates to Canadians, et cetera, is marginal as compared to the cost of doing nothing, which is extraordinarily damaging.
Well, this very credible tax will cause 1 million more Canadians to turn to food banks in 2024. 1 million. That's on top of the record number that needed help from food banks last year. Clearly, the Prime Minister's carbon tax and the tax on the tax are not worth the cost, Leader. Leader, will the Trudeau government at least be transparent with Canadians? Will you say in today's budget what you'll do with the almost $600 million collected this year alone from the tax?
Senator Gold.
Simple question.
There is no language fit for this chamber for me to comment on your assertion. It is, so I will simply say it is not true. Period.
What kind of crap is that, man?
What does that even mean? So I have to interject in this just right now. I'll let the moose on the loose in a second. What's not true? What kind of answer is that? What is not true? He asked, what are you going to do with the money? $600 million. He doesn't appreciate the assertion, and it's just simply not true. What's not true? What isn't true? Like he said, from the third party, the person that looks after the budget officer in Canada, which is nonpartisan, gave the numbers, gave the figures. He even said, thank you for quoting that third-party person. The reason why we're collecting all this money is because we know the planet's burning and we got to do something about it. Great. Appreciate it. What are you going to do with that money? It's just not true, he says. What's not true? Like, that's terrible. Like, can you imagine, like, talking to someone like that? Saying, where are we going to go tonight to eat? And how much do we got? It's just not true. Can you imagine trying to have a friendship with a person who talks like that? So, Wolves games tonight. How much are the tickets? Are we? I paid the last time or whatever. Who's paying for the Wolves tickets tonight? It's not true. What? Can you imagine that was? Anytime you just asked what's going to be done with money, just the answer is not true. Like, what is? Anyways, when you got nothing to say, you got nothing to say. Okay, I'll let him continue.
Man, you guys are collecting tax on the tax. What are you doing with it? That's a basic question. That's a simple and honest question that needs to be answered. The government is just so corrupt. The fact that this guy says, oh yeah, we have to do this for what's good with our country. We have to have the carbon tax. Guys, it's time that Canadians call for a referendum on this carbon tax and we want to see exactly how it's affecting the carbon emissions. We want the proof. Give us the science. None of this dog crap anymore. We want the science. Show us results from independent scientists across Canada, across America, Sweden, England, you name it, Singapore, Vietnam. Let's see like 10 different results from 10 different climate scientists around the world, and then we'll make a decision on it. How about that? Instead of...
And I know there's some people listening going, well, it has been. It's all decided. Science has said that all these things are true. It's basically all scientists agree already. What are you talking about? Which isn't true. All scientists don't agree on what the government's take is on the state of the climate. Many, many, many renowned scientists, as we'll see. So this is basically a shout out to watch the show tomorrow. We will show that. So if you're thinking, well, all scientists agree that we do have a climate problem. What's this guy talking about? Well, just pay attention to tomorrow's show.
Of just putting this in and saying it's for the planet, and really it's just a tax. And then they're taxing a tax on the tax. And then they're like, oh, no, we're giving it back. This is all bullcrap. Stop treating your citizens like we're stupid. We're not. The citizens of Canada are far smarter than any of the idiots in the Liberal government. Let's just be clear. I'm quite enjoying these Senator Don Plett clips. He just rips into Mark Gold all the time. And Mark's got nothing to say every time. he's got nothing to say because there's nothing to say. So thanks for watching here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up.
Yeah, so thanks to Vin for sharing that with us this morning, and grateful that there's people like this out there, alternative media, who are at least exposing some of the things. If you listen to CBC, they think the budget is just great, nothing wrong with it, and then they always have university professors on. Oh, we were talking to the professor of from this university. That's the only people they get. They don't get independent business people on there who actually know what's going on. They're actually doing it. They never get the other side. And who are university professors? People who've never really went out there and lived whatever they're teaching. They just stayed in university their whole life. In order for them to get a PhD, they're already 30 years old by that time, and then they go right into teaching. It's like, you never went out and actually experienced anything. Give me a break. It's like, that's all they're experts on CBC, or just university professors all the time. Pay attention to that. So they're doing a story and then saying, now we have on the line so-and-so, Dr. so-and-so from this university. That's all they do. It's like low-hanging fruit to get expert commentators on their shows. University professors, Marxist ideologues that basically have never lived what they're talking about. Not to put down all university professors, but you got to call a spade a spade. So what have you done in your life other than teach? Okay, so there you go. All right, thank you. So again, right? So someone like myself, who wouldn't be as esteemed as Dr. So-and-so on whatever, ran 5 different businesses, had, 6 different careers, had all different kinds of experiences out there, and even doing what I'm doing this morning. Like, just go out and do it. Don't ask permission. Just get out and start a show and go live stream and have a radio show and whatever. Just do it. Don't just toe the line and make sure, you do everything the way everyone else is doing, and then just spew the same garbage out to everybody that you've been told your whole life. Just remember the people that you learn about in university. Where do they come from? They come from the 1800s and, the early 1900s. Like, who's doing anything now? Like, who's changing? Who's the game changers out there? Are we going to be learning about people like Elon Musk in universities in the future? You know what I mean? Like he never, he says the problem with the business landscape out there is that there's too many MBAs out there. You know what I mean? We're losing something in our society, and just reality is what we're losing. Just the common experience of life, and most of us are just in bubbles, and we got to get out of there. We got to think for ourselves, do research for ourselves, understand what's going on. And people should be very upset when there's carbon tax and then there's GST on top of the carbon tax, and they're collecting that. That's a no-no. You don't collect tax on a tax. So I do something of value. I start a business. I work, get up really early in the morning. I work. My family suffers. I suffer. I work my fingers to the bone. I build something up. You tax me to no end, right? Because I did something. You're taxing me. So I go out and I help the economy. I grow it. I create jobs. And then you tax me to no end for doing it. Anything I do, you tax. So I do something that I make more money, you tax me more. I create a business, you tax me. Anything I do to help the economy, it's like you're punishing people for going out and doing good for their country, right? And how dare you then tax on top of that tax already? Like that's nothing. You're just taxing on nothing. You're taxing on something you imposed on people, which is already questionable for what you're doing with the money to begin with. And no transparency whatsoever, no accountability. I think people are very reaching the end of their rope in this country. I am, anyways, and I hope that other people are. I guess it'll have to hit you. If you're not impacted by all this stuff, it'll have to hit you. You'll have to be standing in line at the food bank, or someone that's very close to you will have to be standing in line at the food bank in order for you to kind of wake up and go, what the heck is going on with these policies and taxes and the way that our country is governed. But anyways, tomorrow will be great. We'll talk about the fallacy that the common narrative is with climate change. We'll have world-renowned experts talking about the real climate of, taking temperature of what real climate analysis is, and how governments have just taken things and ran with it, and they're making policies based on what's called junk science. And that will be the show tomorrow. So if you think climate change is a real thing, and everything the CBC says about climate, everything your university teaches you about it, everything that social media cancels you for saying whatever, if you say anything different than what the common narrative is, there is no consensus in science. There never has been. And so if you think the consensus is settled, all scientists agree on anything, then that is already it's wrong thinking. So we'll have that on the show tomorrow. Thanks for watching today, everyone. And we'll be back, God willing, same time, same place, same platforms, same station. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily. Take care, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.